Radio in motion. Program loading in 3, 2, 1. Program activated.
Attention everyone, the unpleasant noise you are about to hear coming from your radio is not a mistake.
Okay, first things first, what is your name?
This is Big Sonny playing the best of the 90s and beyond.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah. Radio in motion.
Please do not turn off your radio, but turn up the volume on your receiver as high as it can go.
All right, here we go.
Radio in motion.
Rihanna, S&M, before that Dua Lipa with Levitating, all part of tonight's Friday feeling. Now, if that doesn't get you in the mood, I don't know what will. Now we're going to have another installment of The Ugly Truth, and the ugly truth is elections can be ugly. And I'm sure everyone is tired of talking about all the elections in America. They're tired about the subject in general. You know, frankly, so am I, and I'm happy for it to be over with and get through it. But this is sort of the one last thing I wanted to talk about. Wanted to have a bit of a fast take on everything that's happening. And I'm, as we speak, broadcasting live in Australia. So even though it's November 5th here in America, it's still election eve. So all that's going to happen tomorrow in the U.S. And then, of course, everyone down under is thinking, well, look, it's just a big a spectacle. It's all bread and circuses. And they're not wrong. It is a big spectacle. But I guess the other part is they wonder, how is it that this decision even affects the life of people around the world? It really only affects America and Americans. I would say immediately it does. In the direct, it does. But as a whole, you can't put past the fact that America is still, whether it's on the decline or not, whatever you think about it as a nation, it's still a world power that wields influence. So the things that happen there will trickle down here, and they are allies as well. You know, you have to think about that. So yes, it does affect Australia as well, and it will affect all the little things. The food in the grocery stores, the gas prices, yes, it is all connected. That's how it works. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is whenever I've talked about the subject of politics, it's one of those things that, you know, politics didn't used to be something discussed around the dinner table. Some families were very political. Some families love that open discourse at home, and some families just didn't. And there's nothing wrong with that. I do feel like politics has crept in as a subject into everyone's life, and that's okay as long as when you have a discussion about it, I always say, look, by all means, don't listen to me. Do your own fact-finding. But if you're going to take a counterpoint and argue from a purely standpoint of passion, and hey, passion is great. Passion will, passion focus gets us all to excel. But I feel like there's a lot of people that are already extreme anyway, and then when they get onto the nugget of politics, they just get triggered and argue for argue's sake. Even if they have no rational comeback. So that's the thing that drives me crazy. And why I'm saying that is because whenever I've talked about either of the candidates or America or government in general, I'm all about balance. I think that's one of the most important things you have to realize. And you'd think that anyone who goes through life realizes that. But hey, there's a lot of old men and women who still haven't figured that out. It really is about balance. It's about a conversation. If I say something about Trump or Kamala, I'm critical of both of them for different reasons. They're going to be the president of the United States, so both of them have to be held accountable for the things they say, and they have to actually do the things they say. That includes both of them. So, I just wanted to say one thing that gives me hope, and this is just one example. This is why I know the American spirit lives on. I saw on Bill Maher, he has this great podcast called Club Random, and he just has guests from all over. And just like Joe Rogan, he has an open invite to anybody. And by the way, I will say, and if you don't realize this, Trump actually went on Joe Rogan. And Kamala Harris also had an open invite. And I just have to say, you have to understand that does speak volumes. I'm not on one side or the other. I'm just speaking the facts. And I think it's interesting that he is happy to go on that show where nothing is planned. And yes, I'm sorry, mainstream media is the worst. Fox, CNN, all of it. It's all mainstream, predetermined crap. The questions are all laid out. There's no surprise. There's no actual journalism going on. But with Joe Rogan, I think you all realize, YouTube gets more views than most Hollywood movies these days, and Joe Rogan is at the forefront of that. And the fact is when he wants you on this show, he will dictate the terms. He will ask any question he wants. And that, I think, for anyone, especially a politician, to go on there with an open slate like that you don't know what the questions might be, and you're willing to have them thrown at you and answer them live, I just have to say, I think that's pretty amazing. And he did that, and the other one didn't. Again, but I'm just saying that there's a balance. But anyway, Ben Shapiro was on Bill Maher, and I thought it was fantastic because here's a couple of intelligent, charismatic guys who are on opposite ends of the spectrum politically, but obviously there are many subjects they agree on. There are many stances that they take that might be different politically, or our ideology, is different. But you know what the greatest thing was? They could have a chat as adults, have an open discourse and discussion, agree to disagree on certain things, have a good laugh, and walk away as friends. That is how it's supposed to work, and that's what I don't think is happening a lot of times these days. People get in discussions, and they immediately jump on something out of pure passion without thinking about it at all, and they won't consider the other person's point of view or side. And that is not how we move forward, folks. So when I see something like, Ben Shapiro and Bill Maher couldn't be further from each other in a political spectrum, but it was a great show, and the things they talked about, were great subjects. And like I say, they walked away friends, not enemies. That's how it's supposed to be. That's why I say I talk about a balance. And it's interesting right now, again, as we speak, this will change tomorrow. All the polls are saying it's pretty much, it's going to come down to the wire. It's head to head. It's half and half. The country is absolutely divided. And I just think that's interesting. I think that means that there's hope as long as whichever government ends up taking over, they're willing to discuss with the other side what it is that they want and why it's so different. And you need to find a way moving forward. I hate to make it a downer, but and any lawyer would tell you this, there's no winning and losing. There's only trade-offs, and that is life in general. There's trade-offs. There's moving forward with give and take and trade-offs. And with the country divided, look, you could do one thing. You could try to amalgamate Trump and Kamala together and create another third being, which had everything on both sides, or you could make sure that that person's held accountable and that they give everyone a voice, not just on their particular views. And like I always say, what's the point of all this is what are the next 4 years going to look like, and what's the end goal? Well, prosperity for American citizens, and of course, again, as I said, it resonates around the world. Someone who's going to make good decisions, someone who's going to surround themselves with people who make good decisions. And I'll get into that in a moment about the right type of people. And when it comes to things like foreign policy, a lot of people are like, oh, America's always trying to be the police of the world. And I've always been critical of that as well. I'm not a fan of sort of the military industrial complex. However, there's a flip side to that. Foreign policy, it's never you just tick this box. There's the right answer. There's never one right answer or one wrong answer. It's only bad ideas, and you take the best of the bad ideas. My point is where I'm always proud when America is involved. Yes, I'm sure you can understand. I'm not an idiot. There's a huge history of America being meddlesome and CIA and them raising regimes and taking people down and putting people in power. Yes, the meddling part, not a fan of. But the part where there are still bad people in the world, again, you can't be naive to think that, it's all just one big melting pot, and everyone wants the pursuit of happiness, and everyone has the same ideals. I hope the majority does, and I do believe that to a point, but there's still bad people in the world. And whether you like it or not, and that includes Australia as far as a military presence and allies with America, they are here to help and protect those who would have, bad men and dictators and countries where there isn't freedom, there isn't a democracy. So again, I'm not being preachy about, hey, America, hurrah, war. No, but I'm saying whoever is in charge of the government and how they treat foreign policy, it is important because America, whether you like it or not, wields a big military machine, and it can be used for right, and it very often is. And like I say, America is your ally, and that's an important factor to take into consideration when they'll be there to help you stop the bad people in the world. Look, and again, it's difficult talking in Australia, but look, Australia is still, a commonwealth of England. But let me tell you, there was a time when England ruled the world for more than 200 years. And England ruled, honestly, as simply as this, ruled by freedom of the seas. The Romans, how did the Romans rule the world? Something as simple as roads. The ability to that technology of roads. And something like Genghis Khan, well, he almost took over the world just with the high-end technology of the bow and arrow. These are the simple facts. And right now, yes, America has freedom of the seas, just like England did for quite a while. And do they wield that in the right way? Well, I put it to you like this. Everything you get on Amazon, all those little goodies and trinkets you're buying, the world of the shipping is such a massive business. All the shipping lanes and all of that commerce. Who do you think's out there protecting that? Okay, I'll be honest. It's the American Navy. Protects this. Part of the world. All those ships out there on the edge. You think piracy is just something in a movie. It's a real thing. And again, that's just one tiny fraction of what I'm saying. How whatever happens in America affects the rest of the world. At least for now. And another thing I wanted to just put in there, something I'm very passionate about when people talk about, Trump, he's racist and he wants to close the border. I've always talked about this, and I've used terms that they don't use anymore, but I think still ring true. America is a huge melting pot. America is everything about immigrants in other countries coming there and thriving. You just go to New York and, you walk down the street, every type of culture is represented in the food and the buildings and everything. I've always believed in the term of the melting pot, but now, it always gets twisted as, it's like, cultures are being appropriated and America is stealing it. No, they're better for it. But there is a right way to do that for the people who want to be there. Think of all the people who are going through immigration the proper way, the proper channels, and they're waiting and they're trying to live that American dream. By the way, and you look this up yourself, every time they interview someone who is an immigrant, maybe they're from Cuba, they've experienced actual dictatorship, not just, the pretend one that college kids say, oh, I'm living in such an oppressive time while they're on their phone drinking a latte. Immigrants who actually have gone to America, they see that that's what Trump stands for. He's not looking to close the border. And I always bring up this, part of, what America is based on is the saying, e pluribus unum. And that's from many, one. The point is when you all have the same collective goal, then all cultures from everywhere, of course, can live together and thrive. And that's how America, and certainly, Australia as well, and Melbourne is quite an amazing, eclectic city. But it's when cultures come in, or you have a huge influx of, again, I'm going to be honest, people you have no idea what their vision is and what their passion is for their life. A lot of those people could be, criminals, and you have no idea because they haven't been vetted. They're just free to come into the country and do what they want. My point is when you have a common goal to live free, to do unto others as you have done unto you, and to treat each other with respect, that's how you get to that point with such a mixed background of cultures. So again, these are all the positive things, and these are the things that this man says. They said, his rally is like a Nazi rally. They love throwing around the Nazi thing. Again, when you say someone is tantamount to Hitler, no wonder people, they just immediately have, Trump derangement syndrome. At his rallies, my God, the mix of people of every race and gender, black and white, Hispanic, Vietnamese. There was this one video I saw, this Vietnamese lady, she was so passionate about him. She said, she's come from a country where she knows what communism is. She knows what evil is and dictators look like, and it's not him. They certainly don't talk like him. They certainly don't come up and shake your hand and go, have you had something to eat? Have you had some food? Let's get you some food. Again, you could say it's all a show. That's fine. If it proves, I'll eat a huge humble pie. If it's all a big show, then that's fine. But at this point, when this person will end up doing what they say, I'm just saying it's hard to deny that makes sense and resonates with people. And again, this isn't about being against Kamala. I'm just saying at the moment, the way she came in and was just sort of pushed onto people. And again, I've talked about this before. It's so obvious that Biden didn't leave really willingly. He was pushed out. They knew he was in cognitive decline, so he was on the outs. And again, if you don't understand American politics, when it comes to being the nominee, you have to be voted in. Okay, there has to be a primary. And again, this was someone who was placed there. I feel like she is a puppet, and I do feel bad for her. I really do. When the teleprompter goes out, she just freezes. I'm just saying, I don't think it's in her right now to do this. But if it is, like I say, we'll deal with it and we move forward and hope that she surrounds herself with good people, okay? I don't have Kamala derangement syndrome like people have Trump derangement syndrome. And I'll be honest, I've said this before, I feel like my mom is kind of like that. If I bring up the subject, and I always make it sort of a well-balanced conversation, quite happy to have her be the president if she is capable and ready to listen to the people on both sides of the aisle, and not just to be, a puppet of the people who put her there, to have her own mind, to have her own goals. And it's not easy because there's a huge machine behind her. Like I say, the government itself, Republican and Democrat, there's a machine behind that. When people say, oh, does the president really have any power? He's just a figurehead. The president, if you have that resolve, you can wield some power. And if you have these good ideas and you are responding to the people's needs, you can wield that power in a positive way. But yeah, you do have to fight the machine, and that is Congress and the government machine behind you. Again, I I don't shy away from saying that I do believe there is an oligarchy, and yes, there are the mega rich and the Klaus Schwabs of the world and the World Economic Forum, and they're the ones who are mostly panicked because they don't like it when the commoners, all of us, take a piece of the pie. They want it all. So yeah, there is the machine. I feel bad for Kamala if she's just, wielded by that. But for my mom, it's interesting when I get into those conversations. She's pretty much, anybody but Trump. Anybody but Trump. She'll say he's Hitler, but I'm pretty sure if they dug up Hitler, brought him back to life, she would vote for him over Trump. But do you see that? It's like a derangement. Orange man bad at any cost. And I don't think that's the right choice. I think the right person for the job is the right choice. And also not trying to tick a box. I don't care if you're a black man or a black woman or an Asian man or an Asian woman, white man or white woman. Again, I don't buy in to any ideologies when it comes to a position where merit is the most important point. Your experience is the most important part of that. Your intelligence, your suitability for the job, like any job. But again, for those who want to tick a box, they'll do that. For those that orange man bad, they'll do that. And then that's what worries me about people who vote in general, who don't vote with logic. But what can you do? And like I say, it's sort of, the cult of personality. Yeah, of course Trump is like that. Of course he is a personality. So was Kennedy. So was Malcolm X. Cult of personality gets people to follow them. And if Kamala had a little bit more personality, again, she is that kind of, but she could be that as well. She's just more having the machine push her on everybody. And again, if you don't believe me, the mainstream media is 100% behind her. Hollywood is 100% behind her. She was on Saturday Night Live, for God's sake. And you think, oh, why? What's wrong with that? It's funny. Do you understand what that means? That she was invited to be on that show and put in a skit literally a couple days before the presidential election. Do you understand how that can sway and cause influence? And it does seem a bit appropriate. If you're going to do that, have them both on. Write a funny skit about both the candidates. And I just, again, now that's appropriate and that's fair. But when Hollywood and the mainstream media say, "Oh, let's have this one candidate on Saturday Night Live, and we'll make sure that people are influenced by that." So here's one more thing about when I talk about Hollywood. Okay, for anyone who gets their advice from Hollywood actors, I have to remind you, these are paid actors. They get paid to do and pretend and say stuff and read lines. God love them. I love movies. I mean, come on, half the things I talk about on the show are movies and pop culture. Marvel and DC movies and Indiana Jones and Star Wars. But even as I've gotten older, I'm going to be honest, these can be your heroes in a way, but there are real heroes in the world. And this is the case in point. So there's an ad that just came out, and it had all the Marvel Avengers. And again, I still love those movies. I still love those actors. But remember who they are. They are actors. They play a part. They play pretend and get paid big money for it. And I put it like this. The fake Avengers, as much as I love the movies, Mark Ruffalo, Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson, they all did this ad. Oh, Avengers, assemble, and assemble for Kamala. Again, even if it were assemble for Trump, I would think it was cheesy. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't care what they said. I will vote who I think is the best president, not who I think the fake Avengers went for. And yeah, one of the worst ones. It's done my head in. I have anxiety now over it. They had Harrison Ford again. God love him, but Harrison Ford is an actor, and I still love his movies. He is Indiana Jones and Han Solo forever. But he comes out and goes, yeah, a vote for Kamala is a vote for freedom and democracy. I'm Harrison Ford, Kamala. That's great. I still have to separate the man from the actor, and that is him reading a piece of paper, and then afterwards someone gave him a big bag of cash. Okay, I'm sorry, but that's a fact. They are paid actors, folks. They are not political science majors. They are not theologians. They are not they don't sit on the UN Council. They're not into really understanding sometimes the nuances of the regular folk. Okay, also they live up in the hills of California in a bubble. They don't live in your life. They don't go to the store. Food just appears in front of them. Where's the food? Oh, I have food. I'm eating. It's in the fridge. The help gets that. No, they don't go shopping. They don't put gas in the car. They have no idea. They live in a bubble, folks. So that's the Hollywood machine, and it is only behind one person. It's behind Kamala Harris. And again, remember, Trump is not a politician. That's the other thing. Just keep that in mind. Why at every turn, even assassination attempts and being sued, the Department of Justice going after him, don't you think it's interesting that they're throwing everything at him? He doesn't even have to do this. He's got his own money. He's made his life. He's made his money. He's retired. He's beyond retired. Do you understand? He doesn't even have to do this. I'm just saying, I think that's also interesting. But so that's the fake Avengers, the machine, the Hollywood machine behind one candidate. Well, you know what? I'd rather go for the real people who are actually changing the world, not in a movie, not on a Hollywood soundstage, in real life. These are the people who are behind Trump, for better or for worse, for right or for wrong. If he turns out to be a maniac, well, then we chose wrong. These are people like Elon Musk. Again, regardless of what you think of him as a person, this man and the smart people he surrounds him with and the ideas he's pushing, the man is going to bring us to other planets. SpaceX and Tesla and Elon Musk is someone who's changing the world, and I don't think for worse. I think for better. RFK Jr. Again, this is a man with a huge legacy of democracy running in his blood, and he was running for president himself, but he saw that the Democrats weren't behind him, so he left, and he is supporting Trump. And you know what? The things I know he's passionate about, he will do. He does want to go after the FDA. He wants to tell you what poison and what crap is in your food. He does want accountability in big pharma. He will do that. Oh, man, believe me, that scares the hell out of them. You don't think that big tech and big pharma aren't also part of the oligarchy machine? They are. So RFK Jr., Dr. Phil, okay, hey, make fun of him. But, even Whoopi Goldberg and all the ladies on The View and Oprah will be, I don't know, she'll be turning in her bed tonight. They were like this. Now they're like this. Dr. Phil, I'm just saying, he's an intelligent person that people have listened to, especially in America, watched his show constantly. But the minute he went for Trump, I'm sure he got burned. Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard should be run for president. If you want to tick a box for a woman, that's Tulsi Gabbard. She is a smart woman and also used to be a Democrat. Do you see what's happening? When someone is leaving the left because it's moved too far left for them, it's moved so far left it's on the extreme, that's a thing. And that includes myself. It's not about the two parties. I'm just going for balance and what's right. And when the far left moves so far that the things they're saying are scaring the crap out of you, people end up leaving. And so yeah, Tulsi Gabbard. And only just recently, even though it seemed like he was on the fence, Joe Rogan. I'm just saying, these are intelligent people who are plugged into the world, who are plugged into the things that affect you. They live in the real world. They talk to real people. They're open to ideas and having conversations without being triggered. So yeah, my goodness, Elon Musk, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Joe Rogan, Dr. Phil. I think that's the Avengers. That's a lineup of real people in the real world who are heroes and champions. That's what I think. So all these people must be insane. That's the other thing. If all the people who support a particular candidate are garbage and all racist Nazis, well, then everyone I just mentioned, they are as well. And if you did like them and you don't like them now, well, I don't know what to tell you. They've made their choice. So you can have Robert Downey Jr. and you can have Cardi B. You can have all that sort of whatever shady sort of Hollywood stuff. On Kamala's side, I'll take the real Avengers. Anyway, like I say, we'll know by tomorrow, and whatever happens, we move forward and we hope for the best. And it's all about balance and open discourse, freedom of speech, and just know that you have a voice, folks. You have the voice. Government works for you. They don't rule you. The time of kings and queens is over. Sorry to say, God love you, King Charles, but those are the figureheads. The fact is don't be afraid of the government. They should be afraid of you, the people. And that's a fact. You are the voice. And if you're listening to this, you are the resistance. Okay, that was a bit Terminator, but you got to love that. All right, more great music up next on our Friday Feeling on Radio and Motion after a word from our awesome sponsors.